Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Guys, One Coup. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Jim, your weekend good?
Yep, very busy, but it was good.
Was it? Good. Yeah, we got a great show. A great show. And not because Jim and I are here. That makes it always great. But the second half of our show today is when you get to hear the interview with Tiffany Justice and Tina Descovich, the two co-founders of Moms for Liberty. Jim and I had an opportunity to talk to them about 35 minutes, and some very, very good information. And it's a must listen.
Absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely a must listen. Phenomenal people, phenomenal group. So and it stems from the leadership, which is them. So
You said it best last week when you said that the most misunderstood group of people. I mean, it's completely and
they clear up some of those misconceptions during this interview straight from their mouth. So there should be no confusion from this point forward, right, people? So go on.
And if anybody has a chance to go out to there was a Tina Descovich did a C-SPAN interview before she came on our show. Mm-hmm. And she just knocked it out of the park. They tried to get you some gotcha things, and there was some fair. I mean, they were fair and not fair, and stuff like that. But it was just typical. But she just stood right in there and took everything. And
she did what they did. What they did on that C-SPAN call, I thought was interesting. Was that they had different call-in lines and text lines for either if you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. And so they kind of just ran through all of them a couple times, a Democrat, then a Republican, an independent, and so forth and so on. And what stood out to me in her interview at C-SPAN, you could just feel and hear the vitriol hatred for this group every time a Democrat got on that call. Just bizarrely evil these people are. It's just weird to me. It's weird to me that people can't get on board with parental rights or children's rights, and I don't understand it. For the life of me, I can't even put myself in their feeble little minds as to why this is such a difficult subject to get on board with.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, but did you see the teacher? And I can't remember his name, but he gets on. All this stuff was about him getting on, and he basically wanted to talk about, he's a proud member of the LGBTQ. He's teacher, educator, and all that stuff, and he's speaking at a school board meeting, and so he goes through this and kind of in a nutshell, basically just saying that the kids want to learn. Why would we keep them from learning? And the whole point of the matter is, and we heard this on, Matt Walsh, right? And so it was, and then, just to make long story short, the man was arrested for child pornography. Yeah. So look, Dale and I have been saying since day one, there's some kind of ulterior motive out here. Yeah. And the only thing we can come up with is pedophilia. It's making it easier for pedophiles. And so far, we have been having a lot of stories where there's educators, where there's teachers. Now there's another teacher that comes in, proud member of the LGBTQ. And I don't think P is in there for pedophile. I don't think they want it in there. I don't think they need it in there. Yeah. But it's there. And that's what's happening. They're opening the door for this stuff.
It is. We've always talked about it being just a new avenue for this kind of predator to kind of weasel its way into your school system and your children's lives. And it's not I'm not going to sit there and say, I mean, there's sexual predators. There's male teachers who are abusing underage females. There's vice versa, male adult female educators who are doing the same. So I don't want to specifically label that onto the LBGP people's community. They don't want that. Yeah, they don't want that as much as we don't want it for heterosexual. It doesn't matter. It's just indoctrinating the children. But it does open the door for some really freaky people out there. I mean, it's just happening. You know, we report on it all the time. You know, I don't know if it was last week or whatever, the 181 educators who were arrested. And so when you're out there and you keep your head in the sand and you're just like, well, it just isn't happening. It's just not happening anywhere. It's happening freaking everywhere, you know, everywhere. In places you don't know. So go on.
Yeah, we can have more information. I'll go back and look at it at the school district and stuff. I just listened to his podcast tonight. It just struck me because that's what you and I've been talking about, you know, and you know, you talked about the drag queen story hour. Yeah. You know, and the head of that was busted for child pornography. So
correct.
Look, I know because I said, you know, we don't think the LGBTQ community wants P added to it. You know,
don't.
We don't believe that at all. However, when you insist and you force the issue, because look what's happening. You know, you somebody says something that they don't agree with, they protest. Dave Chappelle had to change his. You know, they moved his comedy skit, and so they want everybody to be inclusive. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah,
bad people have a tendency to jump on stuff like this,
and I think, Jim, you are right, 100% right. And we have mentioned it before, where it's like this whole inclusive scenario, this whole cry for, you know, inclusiveness. It's why do we have to accept why we don't have to be inclusive? We need to be protective. We need to be, you know, exclusive. You know, it's bizarre. It's not that you can't accept people for who they are, but you have to also be very diligent in your attempt to keep that kind of influence away from your life, your children's lives. So don't give me the inclusive crap. I don't want to include them in my life. Do you?
No.
I don't want them.
Nope.
I certainly don't want a pedophile. I don't want a sex offender. I don't want a child rapist. Whatever you're going to call them, those people need to be castrated or whatever the story is, and they need to be put away in a grave for all I care. So
and don't say few and far between, because it's happening. It's happening quite
more
a bit
and more often.
Now, and again, I have gone out and I'm not seeing these stories on at least page 1 of CNN, MSNBC. I'm not seeing that.
Yep, correct.
That is bad journalism if you're not reporting it.
Yeah, correct.
It does. If you report it, it does not mean you're going against LGBTQIA plus community. You're not going. That is not what that means. That means here's a bad apple that was found. Get him out.
Yep.
This is why when Moms for Liberty and parents like us speak out saying, educate our children. Not about sex. No kind of sex. Heterosexual. Leave that to the parents to let them go over. A teacher is not trained to do it, and not every teacher has the best intentions when they're doing it.
We're going to have... Go on, Jim.
Well, coming Wednesday, Wednesday night's actually the interview, but Thursday on the show, we're going to have some guests that we're going to talk about some scores. That will be very interesting.
That's exactly what I was going to get to.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
You know, you did it. I was just going to say we have more interviews lined up than we talk. Which is great because we want to hear from all these people, because every community is experiencing something a little different. It's all happening everywhere, but we're going to bring you from, PA to Washington interviews across the country with people. And specifically members of Moms for Liberty, where they can give us stories. They're proving that this is happening out there. We have that coming up. A little program note, on Thursday's show, you get to hear from Paula Davis. She is the chapter chair for the Howard County, Indiana, Moms for Liberty group, she has more stories too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys, so you get to hear Tiffany and Tina today. Paula's going to be on Thursday. And then next week's chock full of them. And then the week after and the week after. So it's great. And I hope you're all enjoying it. It's a weird word because they're really tough stories to hear, a lot of them. It's a tough battle out there. But I hope you're learning, and I hope you're listening, and I hope you're sharing this, sharing it with everybody you know, because you may not have kids. I say you as the audience may not have kids in school. Or you may not have grandkids in school. Who knows what the story is? But I'm sure your friends do, and I'm sure their friends do, and I'm sure relatives do, or their relatives do. It's got to be told, and you got to share it, and you got to get it out there because it's really it's happening. It's happening, people.
Open your mind and listen to them.
Yeah,
you're not going to hear the words that everybody says they are.
Nope,
you're not going to hear.
Sure aren't. Not from one of them.
Nope.
Not from one of them. So
it's all about teaching the kids.
That's
math, English, science, history, and Tina and Tiffany have an excellent point, and I'm going to let you hear it on the
you'll hear it
in the interview afterward. But it is just listen to what they say because we are right there with them.
Yep.
We don't want certain parts of history removed.
Correct.
No, it needs to be taught.
Nope, so needs to be taught.
Total, go against what we say. So
everybody does. Jim, if you want to, so stay tuned. The second half of the show for that, but we have some other things to talk about. So, Jim, how about you get started today? You want to go first?
Sure. All right. We have American families suffering.
Yep.
Legal families in the United States suffering. Actual American citizens that are suffering with high inflation and everything else.
Yep.
All you have to do if you want anything, come across the border.
Yeah.
And here's why. Have you heard this story by any
chance? I have. I don't think so. So I will be just as surprised as the listeners.
The Biden administration wants to provide temporary identification cards to unauthorized immigrants who are awaiting final decisions on their cases.
Temporary. Okay.
Now, when I say temporary identification cards, how many of these states that are blue will allow temporary identification cards at election time, Dale?
100% of them. Not a blue state will not allow it.
Yeah.
And
now,
even
Texas won't be allowed.
It won't be allowed there. It won't be allowed Florida, Indiana. I mean, there's going to be a lot of states where it's not. But you're right, Jim. 100% of these bluey states are going to offer it.
It gets worse.
Oh.
Officials are considering a pilot program that would help immigrants access housing, health care, transportation, and other benefits.
Nice.
Two government sources say. Now, when we review, is this reduced rent to these individuals?
Sure.
No.
Oh.
No. It's
what is it?
Here you go. It's money, right?
Yeah.
They have housing where I guarantee you it's free, right? Healthcare.
Reduced.
They have no money to pay for healthcare, right? Because they don't have jobs yet.
Yeah.
All right. Transportation. So whether it's to DC or wherever they're sending it to.
Yep.
I'm sorry, folks. This irritates the ever-living hell out of me.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't then you have a problem. Okay? Because we have families suffering. Legitimate families trying to work, both families trying to work, make it work out, deciding, oh my gosh, what do we do this week? Well, we can't really drive, so let's we got to buy food, right?
Correct.
We literally have families that are doing that because the families that are on food stamps and welfare right now, they go up with inflation. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they go up with inflation.
I think so too. I don't know if it's at the same rate or not. I really can't speak to that, but
But families who are, so we have serious American families hurting And this is what the Democrats, because I guarantee you there's not a Republican on this thing, if the Democrats want to do this.
Of course.
The program would also encourage more frequent communication with law enforcement throughout the legal process, the sources added.
What?
The fiscal year 2023 appropriation bill includes $10 million for this program called ICE Secure Docket Card Program 2023. But they want to start giving it to them now. That's not 2023.
No.
What do I know? With Republicans currently favored to take control of the House in November midterms, the administration is hoping to get. Yep. See,
sorry.
This is why
I ruined it.
You are intelligent.
Thank you.
Most of us can figure this out, right?
Most of us that are not Democrats can figure this out.
It's in the 2023 bill, but
better get it before November. Better get it before November. That's right.
So anyway, but that is true.
Yeah.
You heard it here, guys. The cards likely would include a QR code that would provide access to court information and documents via an app. We notice how well that works out, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, once they get into you lose track of wherever the hell they're at. They go out and run to their family.
I like how they put ICE in this bill, Jim, real quick. How they put the name ICE in there. As if,
isn't that fun?
As if they're behind this. It's their bill.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's just the card will contain a photo, biographic identifiers, and cutting-edge security features to mutually benefit the government and non-citizens.
Jim,
call me a naysayer.
Yeah,
but
go on.
I don't buy any of that shit.
And Jim, what will this cost the taxpayer?
I don't have those numbers, honestly, because the article doesn't show the numbers.
Millions, if not billions.
It's going to be billions of dollars because we have 1.75 million immigrants right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? 1.75, and they keep coming.
Illegal.
So just roughly, let's just say, and we know this is lowballing it, $100.
Yeah.
Per one.
Correct.
So take 1.7 times 100.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
That's $1 figure. Minimum
dollar figure.
Well,
you, me, and every other taxpayer are paying. Mm-hmm.
But see, I think that's why they don't put the number in here. Because we all want to talk about how many times we have to be sympathetic for the individuals that are trying to come across here. No,
why?
They're coming across for free housing, free healthcare,
a better life than us.
And even now, when they come across, they're given a debit card with money on it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money's on there.
I don't.
But it's on there.
Who's paying for that too?
Look, there's a way to come into this country, and I know it might be hard to get in, but it should be, because this is the greatest country, even if it's going to shit in a handbasket because of the leadership.
Even with the leadership, it's the greatest country on earth.
I still consider it the greatest country, and people want to come here.
Yeah.
But there's a difference. Under the Trump administration, they wanted to come here for jobs.
Yeah.
Under the Biden administration, they're just coming for the free money.
Free stuff, man. Why not?
So,
free place to live, free transportation, free health care, money for food. What else do you need?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what else do they need? It's ridiculous. Of course they're coming there for all the free crap.
And then they contact their families. And they go up and meet up with their families. So.
Jim, is this a bill that's being introduced, or is it a?
It's seeking. He's seeking identification cards. There's already a bill that was passed for 2023 for $10 million. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to push it up.
Who's again? Who's doing this? Again?
Biden.
Oh, so Biden. So this is under the Biden administration.
He's seeking these ID cards. Well. He's incapacitated right now because he's had all of his boosters, but surprisingly, he got COVID. I think I can go back to when he said, because I think there was a speech where he said,
"Oh yeah,
I gotta say this: if you get these vaccines, you're not gonna get COVID." I think I said it pretty much how he said, kind of that route, but
yeah, that's what he said. If you get these vaccines and if you if you triple mask and if you stay 6 feet apart and you're 15 days to stop the spread, man. Come on. So, you're not going to get it. Whoops.
He just wants to move it up. Because they had $10 million, by the way. There's no way. It's way short.
Yeah,
so
it's way short. Jim, that's insane.
Yeah, so they want to speed it up. And it's just ironic. It's just... Look, I like being these conspiracy theorist guys every once in a while.
Yeah.
But you notice where Governor Abbott is sending it.
Yeah.
Okay. So why would they not? Why all of a sudden do they want to give them ID cards now?
Yeah, I know.
Because they're going to D.C., they're going to New York, they're going to these blue states.
Correct.
Well, there we go.
Voters.
Let's see. This candidate's pretty sketchy here about winning or losing. We're going to move 1,000 of them to this district
over there, and now they can vote.
And
that's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with almost the presidential and or the governor's races in those states. It has to do with House districts. Now we move them over there. All of a sudden, now they get another vote, 1,000 votes, 10,000 votes, wherever they're going to move them to. I'm not saying, YouTube, that's going to happen. What I'm saying is, YouTube, it leaves it open for suspicion. Is all.
It's just suspicious. The timing of it, and everything, because it's not 2023 when this is going to happen. They want to give it to them here. They want to, and they got enough to push it through the House. But if it has to go through the Senate, because some bills don't have to, and I don't know if this is one of them. But if it goes to the Senate, it won't pass. I mean, because of the rules, no bill's ever going to pass the Senate.
I know. It's just never going to pass.
You need 60 of them. So.
Yeah, that's true. Jim, that was crazy. Anyway, crazy. Something to keep an eye out on. That's for sure.
Because it should piss everybody off.
It should. Sorry. It should piss everybody off. Yeah, it really should. So, Jim, let's move on. What do you think?
Yep.
I have two stories. One of them literally a minute long. So this one. Michigan News Channel 3. I don't know if you heard this story or not. Published the results of the Republican primary election where Tudor Dixon won. He's a rhino. Okay, this guy is a pure rhino. And never Trumper, Peter Meyer, won his race too. There's one huge problem, Jim. The Michigan Republican primary isn't until next week. You heard that right, Jim. They published the results of the election that is occurring next week. Jim, you can't make this up. Tudor Dixon, I hold in my currently nicotine-stained hands the results. Tudor Dixon, congratulations on next week's win. You got 445,368 votes, or 47%. Peter Meyer, good for you. You got 75% of the vote. How'd this happen, Jim? What happened? Well, here's what happened. One person wrote in and said, "Hey, how is it you have an election result when we haven't had the election yet?" Well, Channel 3 in Michigan, their response was, an affiliate is testing our election system. And so they asked, who's the affiliate? No further response. End of story.
Okay, they're testing what?
What? No. You know as much as I know, as much as the Michigan viewers know. Oh, my God. This is insane. It was the most, again, YouTube. I'm not saying anything's going on, but
even YouTube would have to think,
how can this be? They posted results with numbers. Who won, who lost the primaries next week. Stay tuned for further information on that.
They have a lot of explaining to do if the final numbers
got a lot of explaining to do, Lucy, on that one. Yes, if they're close,
There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here.
Good old Michigan. I feel Governor Whitmer, one of our favorite governors in the nation, may have been directing something here. I'm not sure. But anyways, that's that story. We'll stay tuned. We'll see what happens in the primaries next week in Michigan.
And sorry for the guys who lost. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Good try.
The men or women who lost.
Thanks for trying.
And we do say men and women. Just want everybody to know that.
We know the difference. I have for a long time, Jim. Known the difference. I've never been unsure about that. What a man is, what a woman is.
Would you have ever thought?
No, probably
20 years ago, we would be having this conversation. 15 years ago.
Jim, I don't even know if it's that long ago. I mean, I can't remember when no, absolutely
insane.
not. Yeah, I've never would have thought we'd have had. There's Jim, you and I.
France is laughing at us.
Oh my gosh, I know. France. Oui. All of those oui stink-ass people are laughing at us. We have so many conversations, Jim, that I would have never thought we would have ever had. Ever. I almost don't want to have them. Unfortunately, we have to. Here's one. Here's a conversation we're going to have.
Yeah.
You know who Vladimir Lenin is, right? Lenin, one of the creators of, I know you know, I'm just asking people. You know, they don't teach us stuff in school, I don't think, anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Think so.
So one of the founding members of communism, Marxism, all that over in Russia. But anyways.
AOC's hero.
Here's a quote from Lenin. Okay, I just want to give this to you, Rick. Quote. Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. Could that not be more true than what is happening now? Well, guess what, folks?
Dang,
I mean, does that, I'll repeat it for those of you in San Francisco. Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. Does that not fall into what's happening now across the country in our public school systems? But not only that, but with social media, with whatever television program they're wanting to portray, anything like that.
Well, you can't say grooming now, by the way.
Oh, I did not know that, Jim.
If you say on Facebook or Twitter, or if you say the word grooming you get booted off. Mm-hmm.
Well, there goes my poor dog groomer's business. I mean, how are we going to... The name of her business is Golden Grooming. I mean...
there's people already that have been there, have had their locked out of their Facebook accounts because they talked about grooming our children and out.
You gotta be kidding me.
Nope.
There's a conversation again that I didn't think we'd have. But
now, we're not saying it's grooming, YouTube. We're just saying this is what's happening. Okay.
Well, I'm going to go on with this little tidbit of fun that we're having here. So now in Portland, Oregon, Antifa. Remember our good friends Antifa? They used to be around everywhere, during the Trump years.
Love Antifa. Remember? This nice, peaceful group.
Still there, but they're in Portland, Oregon, which is, I think, the home of Antifa. I'm not sure, but
they're in Seattle.
They're getting in on the act of tainting a once wholesome summertime tradition. Jim, a faction of the undeclared domestic terrorist group, and I say undeclared because they won't declare them as a terrorist group. Parents are at school board meetings, but these folks aren't. They're hosting a social justice summer camp. Well, isn't this fun? As reported in the Post-Millennial, some crappy newspaper, kids ages 10 to 14 will be participating in activities that include learning about police abolition, how to donate to bail funds, and what to do if they come in contact with tear gas during protests. You think I'm making this up? This is true.
What would 10 to 14-year-olds have any money to donate to bail?
Well, I don't know. just how to do it. So when they learn how to donate for it. The children will also be taught about white supremacy and anti-police chants they can use at future protests. The whole damn system, indict, convict. That's some of the phrases. Put those killer cops in jail. There's another phrase for you. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. There's another phrase for you they'll be learning. That's nice. Seems productive. Of course, it would be Portland, where such a corrosive event takes place. Portland has been the incubator for leftist street violence for years, which we have seen. It still goes on. Budding Roses, the Antifa group running the summer camp, claim on their website they received a Spirit of Portland award and were named the 2018 nonprofit initiative of the year by the city of Portland. Does that sound about right to you for Portland? Oh my gosh. Training kids as future guerrillas is a new low for the left, but it goes along with other aspects of their agenda for warping the experience of childhood. Progressive teachers engaged in public meltdowns after Florida's Parental Rights in Education Act clamped down on the ability to, here's the word,
we met some of them.
Here's the word though, Jim. Act clamped down on the ability to groom children with inappropriate sexual contact. Some teachers left the profession casting doubts about what their educational priorities truly are. Jim, this also goes along with, how Disney reacted during the Parental Rights Act. But now you have Antifa, who's going to hold a summer camp for future protesters, activists, fascists, anti-fascists. Now, did we read this on the air, Jim? We didn't, or did we just talk about it? Did we read on the air the definition of fascist?
You know what? I don't think we did read it.
We didn't. So this is what's interesting. And I was just trying to think of this the other day because I couldn't remember if it was on air or not on air. But Jim and I were talking off air about Antifa, about fascism, about dudes holding signs out the Moms for Liberty Summit saying Moms for Liberty is fascist. So what does fascist look like? So Jim goes on to clicks, definition of fascist on the computer, pops up the Wikipedia, right? Far right is the first thing it says, okay? Mm-hmm. And then mumbo jumbo after that, what you think fascist would be. Far right. And then you go on to Webster's, the actual definition, and no far right is on there. But Wikipedia is the first one that comes up. So now everybody sees it because, Wikipedia is full of crap. You can put in, I can go in there and put anything I want in Wikipedia.
Right.
But it said far right.
Yep.
Anyways, Jim, that's kind of the story I had on that. I mean, just Antifa's going to put on a summer camp. Michigan's given week ahead election results. All sorts of good things happening around the world. We didn't even get into climate change. I've got a story on Mark Zuckerberg and his wonderful organization. Looks like maybe we'll get into that next show because what's coming next, Jim?
Real quick. Can I add to this little thing?
Jim, I want you to say anything you want. I thought you didn't have anything to add. Sorry.
No, for those people out there that call conservatives fascism, go out and look at the actual definition of fascism.
Webster's.
Not Wikipedia, but Webster's. Before Webster changed it like they did female.
I know.
Yeah. So let's do it before they get a hold of it and forced to change like everyone else.
Correct.
But see, you heard what I said.
Yeah.
Forced
to change,
to do things, to go towards what one group wants to do,
to comply.
Okay? In a nutshell, that's what it is.
Yes.
We're not doing that. Mm-hmm. we're just asking our children. Why are our children learning about heterosexual, homosexual, and transgender when they don't know what 2 + 2 is?
Correct.
That's all we're questioning.
And that's on that side of it. We're also questioning why can't we just drill here and use our resources? Why can't we just limit welfare so people can hire and we don't have supply chain issues? I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what we're asking.
But
that's considered fascist.
Wikipedia and all these other groups, all of these other media outlets, social networks, you're doing a disservice.
Yep.
Because fascism does not follow the conservative line.
Not one line of it.
It follows the liberal line. wanting everybody. They're controlling the media, for God's sake.
Correct.
I mean, now you can't even say that kids are grooming. You can't say that they're grooming our kids without being locked out now.
Correct.
That's it.
That's
done.
Yep.
So any voice, any opposition to this group, they attack.
Yep.
And people cower.
Correct.
They cower to them, and that's why they keep doing it.
Yep.
Because they know they can, and they know they're going to get people to back down.
Yep.
And it's horrible.
Each and every time.
Anyway,
each and every time.
So we can get on to the.
Yep, we can get on. We can get on. No problem at all. Folks. So coming up next is our interview with Tina Descovich and Tiffany Justice, co-founders of Moms for Liberty. We had a chance to meet them at their summit in Tampa, Florida. We did conduct a little interview there. I think we've been through it. Wi-Fi, all sorts of stuff went out. Just didn't do them justice. So we requested that they come back on. Melissa Stone at Cavalry Strategies made that happen. We thank her again and made it happen. So we got to sit down and talk to them again. You're going to hear that next. When that's done, we're going to come back, kind of wrap things up and review. But really, stay tuned and listen to this, and we'll be back when it's done. Well, we welcome to the podcast today Tiffany Justice and Tina Descovich, co-founders of Moms for Liberty. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you here. We appreciate it. We know you folks are busy, so giving us that time is, definitely appreciated. Real quick, Moms for Liberty, and we talk about you a lot, is a grassroots movement, began in January 1st, 2021. You now have 200 chapters, over 100,000 members. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep. And I really, to start off, and like I said, we've talked about you folks a lot and the cause, but for listeners that may not know, can you just kind of give us your backgrounds and maybe tell us how it started and maybe that one moment where you said, we got to do something to get this thing moving? So either one or both, please go ahead.
Well, we don't like to talk on top of each other, so I'll start. Tiffany can take it from there. Tiffany and I are both former school board members in the state of Florida. We served from 2016 to 2020. We didn't know each other during our terms. We met somewhere along the way, briefly at an event or two, but our experiences were exactly the same as what we've learned as we've started working with each other over these last 18 months. What we like to say is that we saw behind the education curtain. We saw the imbalance of power between the teachers union and parents. And I think all of America saw that as COVID unfolded, as curriculum and lessons were being streamed into kitchen tables and living rooms. Parents really got to see what was happening. And we were able to help explain why that was happening. Parents didn't really understand who was making the decisions. And I think Moms for Liberty has really helped uncover that for them and expose them to that and teach them, give them the tools they need to push back and to fight back. So, as we were coming off our terms the end of 2020, we had a conversation and we said, we know what the problem is. We know how to fix this problem and we know exactly what needs to be done. So January 1st, 2021, we launched Moms for Liberty. And as you said, here we are about 19 months later, and we are now in 38 states, over 200 chapters, and we just reached 100,000 members.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep. Tiffany, kind of the same story, I'm assuming, the same kind of interesting moment where you were like, yeah, we've got to make changes. Both of you being in school boards, obviously, you've seen the behind the scenes, and that certainly probably helped with your members, going through and kind of know the red tape and how to deal with school boards themselves. But I just want to get something out of the way real quick, because we hear a lot of misinformation, right? It's out there about the group. Three things really stand out that I hear most. First of all is Moms for Liberty is against teachers. All right. That's right off the bat. That's what I hear. I hear Moms for Liberty wants to ban books. I hear that a lot. And then I hear they want to remove history. They want to remove history from the schools. Tiffany, if you can expand on that and just really get rid of the misconceptions right off the bat and kind of address those, if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. So first and foremost, Tina and I, before being school board members, were moms. and we had kids in public school. I've got 4 kids in public school. Tina has 5 kids. So for us, we love teachers, and we knew that within school systems were really great people who care about kids who are trapped in a system that isn't focused on teaching and learning. And we are seeing with increased membership every day, more and more teachers joining us, and more teachers leaving the teachers unions, which we saw had an undue influence in our children's education. So we love public education. We wouldn't both have given 4 years of our life in elected office service, which is not easy, if we didn't care about public education. And we want it to improve. We want it to really serve students. As far as, let's go through the misconceptions. So we love teachers.
Yep.
We really want to see them be able to reach kids.
Banning books.
Yeah. Oh, books. Yeah. We don't ban books. We just don't think there should be pornography in libraries. We're not alone in that, to be honest. So, I actually think that that's a losing argument for a lot of people, because once I open up that book and I show people those pictures, my husband had no idea. And I showed him the pictures. He said, Tiffany, you have to show everyone this book. They don't know this is what you're talking about.
That's right.
So I just suggest to anyone, if you think that we want to ban books, first of all, put the books wherever you'd like. Public library, Barnes and Noble, sell them, Amazon, whatever. It's a free country, still is, just not in the school library. But if you doubt us, go and take a look at some of these books and the pictures. You need to see them firsthand, and then you'll understand why moms are so upset. If I showed these books to your child on the street, I would be arrested. But if I showed them to them in a public school library, it's okay. That doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
Correct.
And then the last thing, this idea of not wanting to teach history. Tina and I did an interview recently where that was kind of lobbed at us as an accusation. And we said we would be the first people to stand up and say, if an American history book, slavery and Jim Crow laws are not being taught, if real, accurate American history is not being taught, I promise you, Tina and I will be the first people standing there saying, why does this history book not accurately depict American history? However, again, there's this fear mongering. What I believe the liberal media is trying to do, and the unions are trying to do, is vilify us and try to marginalize us and make people not want to join us. But after this Joyful Warrior Summit, the media coverage that I've seen has been fairly good. I think what media, who we gave access to parents all over the conference at the summit, saw was that this is a diverse group of people with lots of different backgrounds and lots of different concerns. And we're all coming together for the shared reason that we love our kids, we love our country, and we want to see our children be successful in life. So just working through, just being honest and transparent to debunk a lot of these misconceptions. And I believe that we're getting there.
I think so too, Jim.
And you guys need to be proud of yourselves, because we are interviewing some great people who are directors of their own groups, right? And I got to tell you, they're prepared with everything you have. You throw anything at them, they know how to come back. They're not stumbling around anything. But one of the things we're asking, because what we learned at the summit is now we need to get into the school boards. So one of the questions that we want to ask is, because Governor DeSantis and the First Lady said that they have 7 requirements that you have to meet before they will give you their endorsement. And for a school board member who's running for school board to get Moms for Liberty's endorsement, one, that would be a great endorsement to have. And second, what are you looking for? And do you help the other chairs and chapters, or do you let them kind of trust that they're going to go off and find what they want in their own people?
This is a very simple question. We're looking for candidates that support parental rights, a candidate that truly understands that it's a parent's right to direct the upbringing, education, and medical care of their child. It's very, very simple for us. We're an issue-based organization, and that is what we're focused on. But to go a little deeper in that, our chapters are the ones that endorse. Tiffany and I and Marie, the other executive board member, we don't have a say. Not even here in our own counties. I mean, I get 1 vote in my chapter, just like all the other couple hundred members here in my county. And the people of our organization get to choose. We do ask that they hold forums and invite all the school board candidates so they get to hear and be educated on the candidates and the issues. We have questionnaires where they have to answer the questions, and the chapter members get to read their answers to the questions. Most of our chapters invite them individually too over the months, leading up to the election, to come and speak and state the reasons that they think that they are the parental rights candidates. And then ultimately the chapter takes a vote, and the majority of the people in the chapter, whoever they vote for, that's who the chapter endorses.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I want to touch base a little bit on the whole gender ideology and what I think is being kind of disguised under the maybe social and emotional learning aspect of it all. Why is this such an important issue to the people who want that taught? It's frightening, really, that they want that taught to our children. So what's their end game? Why do they want to do that?
We believe that it's really an effort to destabilize the child in order to be able to rebuild the identity as they would like to. So this idea of gender ideology or queer theory or critical race theory or these other critical theories that we're seeing being infused into the curriculum is being done so in many ways by social emotional learning. That's the vehicle with which a lot of these things are being brought into the schools under the guise of, we want every child to feel safe and valued in school. Well, I can tell you, Tina and I both very much believe that we want every child to feel safe and valued in school.
Correct.
But these types of things, and we can talk about gender ideology for a second, children in grades K through 3, being taught, you can be a boy or you can be a girl or you could be a boy and a girl. That's not what parents want. And here in Florida, we had HB 1557. We had the sponsor of the bill, Joe Harding, come and speak at our parental rights forum, our panel that you can find on YouTube if you search for the Joyful Warrior Summit and parental rights. And what we talked about was the fact that there was a national poll that said over 60% of parents, Democrats and Republicans, did not want gender theory taught in schools.
Right.
But again, if you can tell a child at age 5 that perhaps their parents were wrong with something as simple as what biological sex they are, that they're a boy or they're a girl. Maybe the parent doesn't necessarily know that that's happening at school, but that plants a seed in the mind of the child. What else could my parents be wrong about if they're wrong about something as simple as that? And I really think that's the beginning and the first step at the wedge that the school system and the unions are trying to drive between the parent and the child. It's very dangerous.
Exactly. Jim, you got a question?
Yeah, I want to
Thank you for answering that before Jim goes on. That was exactly what I think is happening. So go on, Jim. Sorry.
We have other issues that we think it's really happening, but it's kind of a little bit further than you. we're a little bit more. Our minds work a little different.
We only have so much time, and I know that there are a lot of other reasons why things are happening. But for parents right now, the most important thing that they need to know is that there are some dangers in schools, and there is an effort to divide the parent from the child, and it's happening as early as kindergarten. So our effort is really to protect these children from gender ideology. It's incredibly harmful. If I were to go into the different things with puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and some of the surgeries that are happening with children making lifelong decisions at the age of 11 or 12, very scary stuff. So yes, I believe there are some other things happening in this country that are driving that, but we don't have time.
What I meant is that we think there's. I'm sorry, this is just leading to pedophilia. Is this how we feel? And it's the more kind of farther side of that it's just not right. I mean, it's just completely sick.
And we've done many shows on the suicide rates based on puberty blockers too, which is again another show. But you're right, it's much deeper than that.
So yours is safer to say. The one thing that we learned when we're down for the summit was we have these horrible shootings at schools. And we also I learned, maybe Dale learned because he's from Florida, but I'm not. So we learned about, I think it's the Guardian program that is implemented. And Tina, your story about how you went through that training is very impressive, and I enjoyed hearing that. But can you tell the people that our listeners about that Guardian program? Because I believe all the chapters should learn more about that, because I think all school districts across the country need to employ that.
Sure, I'll be happy to talk about that. But the one thing we haven't addressed yet is the two of you sitting there in our squad.
We're getting it too. Thank you.
I don't know how we forgot to mention that right when we got on here, but you guys look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for wearing the banner.
We will continue to do that.
Proud to.
Yeah, so the Guardian program in the state of Florida is called the Aaron Feist Guardian Program. It's named after a coach at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School who was unarmed, but he actually had a concealed carry permit, but was not allowed to carry at school, for obvious reasons. And the day of the shooting, while the coward, who was the SRO and who was armed, sat outside the school that day, the minute he heard the gunshots, he ran towards the shooter, and to try to protect children, he actually used his body as a shield. And so the Guardian program is named for someone like him, who is brave, and who, if would have had his weapon on him that day, he likely could have saved lives. So the state of Florida found itself in a real big predicament after that shooting. They wanted armed guards in every school. Budget concerns obviously were an issue, especially in a district like mine, where we have almost 100 school buildings that we're trying to protect. There was a shortage of law enforcement officers even to be hired, if they could be hired and trained that quickly. So they looked for different tools, especially even for the rural districts where their budgets are very small. And the communities are really close knit, and maybe someone in your community who is a retired law enforcement officer who's willing to come in and do this job. And so the Guardian program was born. Originally, it was supposed to be former law enforcement and former military, trained at 136 hours. The training, very intense, and your sole purpose is to take out a threat or an active shooter. Realistically, the terminology is take out the threat, but your sole mission is to take out an active shooter. You have no law enforcement ability. You can't arrest. You can't do any of those things. You're not in uniform. Your gun is concealed, but you're there, and you're trained extensively to charge the target. And so it's a great program. And what's really interesting, though, in the state of Florida is it's been modified all over the state. The state, we like to say, laid out, Tiffany, what do we say? Parameters?
Yes, options within parameters.
Options within parameters. Yeah. And so districts all over the state, some chose not to do it at all. Tiffany's district chose, their sheriff helped fund putting an SRO in every school, a school resource officer. So they had active law enforcement in each school. What we did here in Brevard was kind of modified the Guardian program. We had a number of school resource officers, but we had a shortage. And we went through months of protests, hundreds, if not 1,000 sometimes, of red shirts, Moms Demand Action, Red for Ed, chanting, saying they did not want the Guardian program in their school. And so it was very intense here. So we ended up in our district doing kind of a compromise. We hired a guardian. So it was one person, with the intention of some of the bigger schools getting 2 and 3 ultimately, but that we would pay them a salary, which, because they were employee of the district and not of the sheriff's office, and didn't need a uniform and didn't need a vehicle and all of the things that came with the $130,000 price tag of an SRO, we were able to for $40,000 get an armed guardian in each school. And we called them school safety and security specialists. But they went through that training. And here in my county, it's 172 hours. Our sheriff, has to do everything over the top and the best. And not to get long-winded, but good. You referenced.
Awesome.
As a school board member, I went through the training myself. And I was very curious to see what they were learning. I wanted to understand it. I was very passionate about school security. And I wanted to make sure we did have the best program in the state. And so I went into the program. As just a female board member, I was able to graduate after a lot of work and extra time that the team put in to help me get there. But it was a great experience.
Is that story? Go.
I would just like to mention to you, gentlemen, just to be clear, when Tina and I served on school board, we did this panel on safety and school safety on Saturday morning. And again, if you're watching this right now, go to YouTube, go to Moms for Liberty, look up the Joyful Warrior Summit. You can see we did a school safety panel. Senator Rick Scott, Ryan Petty, whose daughter was killed at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and Bridget Ziegler and Tina. As a school board member, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission, when they looked at what happened during the shooting, they had dots for everyone in the school. You could see all of the students, you could see the teachers, you could see the active shooter, and you could see Aaron Feist. And what you see, and Tina's talked about it, and it chokes me up right now, you see his dot just running to the shooter through everything. the courage that it took for him to run to the shooter. And so when we see the things happening in Uvalde, when we see these breakdowns in the systems, we so much want parents to get involved and to be advocates for school safety and to help to work in communities for everyone to find a solution, because we very much want to make sure that all children.
Good. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for adding that. Real quick, masks seem to be coming back out west. San Diego, you may have just heard, they're you mask up or don't show up at all, right? Kind of stance they're taking. What, in your opinion, this is more of an opinion, is that now going to spread across the country again? Is Moms for Liberty prepared for what might come, which is kids stay out or mask up or mandatory vaccines or however you feel about it? Just any opinion you have on it would be appreciated.
Absolutely. So what you see is San Diego and perhaps Los Angeles bringing school masks back. We will see what happens across the country, but it is not surprising to me that they are looking for the most vulnerable areas that are controlled by the most liberal school boards and liberal areas in order to push masks back on. It is an effort to control. If they can force you to put something over your child's breathing holes all day long, every day, what can they not make you do?
Correct.
And Tina and I saw very directly masks harm kids. We do think that there's going to be an effort to bring masks back across the country. Our parents say never again. Never again will they comply with masking. So what I think you're going to see is many parents, and you're seeing it already, standing up and saying, no way, it's not going to happen. I don't think you're going to see compliance like you did before. Tina, what do you think? What's going to happen now with masking?
I want to take what you said one step further, and I'm going to go ahead and say they are targeting places with these mandatory masks where there is not a Moms for Liberty chapter.
I wondered
that. Okay. Maybe I'm giving us too much credit, but I don't think so.
I don't either.
Because one of the things is one organization that was very effective, like I just said, under school security when I was on the board, was Moms Demand Action. They, after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, they didn't miss one single school board meeting for the next 2 years I was on the board. Even when we had nothing to do with security, they were there in their shirt, watching us, making sure we weren't slipping through, arming teachers, or, all the things they were worried about. And I will tell you, every time we were about to make a decision about security, what pops into every school board mind, right? Like, how many of them are going to show up and be championing and fighting? And so Moms for Liberty is the exact same things when it comes to these things, where there are chapters and strong chapters, like where we've got video of Williamson County, Tennessee, where there was hundreds and hundreds of parents outside chanting no more masks. They're going to think twice before they mask again students. And so what I want to say is to those places like Los Angeles and San Diego, moms, get your act together and get a job there, because you need
Exactly.
And can I add something real quick to that, Dale? I didn't know, Tina and Tiffany, if you didn't know this, but Harvard University did a study. And because we did this, our show that's dropping today, we actually did this story. It actually showed that the regression of kids in school, how little they did learn, and what impacted the most were low economic families and minority families. And so I just, it's like, we always want to talk about research, right? They always throw this research out at us, right? But then when we actually have research that proves maybe this shouldn't be done, they don't care. And then it affects the most vulnerable of our people.
But here's the thing. There's lots of research that shows how harmful masks were and how harmful school closures were, right? I mean, the ink isn't even dry on some of it. And yet here we go back down this path with that San Diego board president so flippantly saying, well, then they can stay home if they don't like masks, right? Right. Horrible. Moms knew before this. We didn't need a study to tell us that masks weren't good for our kids, or that it wasn't good for schools to be closed. And for everybody who says, oh, well, you don't want schools to be closed, but you don't like what's being taught in schools, these arguments are not going to work on us. We see right through you. We want public schools to be open. We want teachers to be teaching kids how to read and to write and to do math. They're not going to force us out. I liken it to when you give your child the job to do and they don't do it that well, and they think, well, I'm not going to get us to do that anymore. No, we're not buying. Moms knew immediately that masks weren't good for their kids. Tina and I sat on school boards where we listened to parents come and say to us, masks are harming my child. My child is not doing well in school. They're not doing well mentally. And yet school districts ignored them time and time again. No more will we allow government bureaucracy like the CDC to dictate to parents what they need to do with their children.
Amen. I want to kind of end with this because of time and all that, but we can't go on without talking about the summit. We've mentioned it a couple times. It was an incredible event that Jim and I were actually honored to be part of, to witness it, to see it. I don't know how you two did it. Honestly, I don't know how you do it. And I know you're going to say, because I know you two, we got a team, everybody contributed. There was so much help. You two are not going to, but you two were at every aspect of that. And it's good to see you survived it because there was a lot going on there. It was fantastic. It was emotional. It was graceful. It was perfect. Now, having said that, individually, we are our harshest critics. How do you two feel it went? How do you two think maybe it can improve? And is next year's summit going to have to be like in Dallas Cowboy Stadium? I mean, how many people? It's going to be massive. So really, just share your thoughts on it and how you thought it went, and what can we expect in the future? So, Tina, if you want to go, you can start. I know.
Yeah, I'll be happy to start because honestly, I think I am my own worst critic, and I'm the first one to point out all the flaws. And I will tell you, the summit was amazing. It was remarkable. I'm behind the scenes and I'm in every last little detail. And I will tell you, nothing went wrong. We didn't run out of food. There wasn't a huge, line a mile long. Usually when you do events, there's all of these things all the time that you're just putting out fires, and it just didn't happen, or my team protected me from seeing it, which is always possible too. But I don't think so. I think that, we were very, very blessed. And, you just said it. We pulled together an amazing team, a head of security, the AV organization that we hired. Everybody was all in with the mission. And so everybody felt passionate about what we were doing, and they wanted to do their best work. And when you bring those kind of people together to do their best work, you know what happens? Magic happens.
Magic happens.
And I feel like what happened at the summit was magic. Now, what we have planned for next year, you'll just have to wait and see.
We cannot wait. You got to tell us. All right. We will wait and see. But
you know what? To add on to what Tina said just quickly, we very much, there have been so many questions about Moms for Liberty. I know Tina was on C-SPAN this morning. You can catch her on the Washington Journal C-SPAN. She took audience questions. There have been so many questions about what we do and how we do it and why we do it and how we have grown as quickly as we have. And I just thought the summit was a wonderful example of exactly who we are. Again, bringing together lots of different people. We got to talk about the things that we knew were important to our moms, deep dives into social emotional learning and gender ideology, talking about school safety and parental rights. And then giving parents tools to be able to be effective advocates, whether that's as a candidate running for office or supporting candidates and vetting candidates in their community. So for us, I think for Tina, it was just beautiful to be able to show the world and to really, give access to lots of different media and say, this is who we are. It's real. Correct. You can't deny it any longer. American parents are taking our country back. And I hope that's the sign that everyone took away from the summit, because
I think so. And so once you know, you can't deny it any longer. Yeah. So that's the key. Yeah.
We are definitely going to, we've warned this for the last 3 episodes. We are going to campaign for you. We are interviewing a lot of your different chapters. They want to interview with us, which is actually pretty cool. We're even going to get some school board running for school board on our shows and stuff, and we're going to push you guys, and we're going to defend you every step of the way. We've done it when we were there in Tampa. We're going to continue to do it now. And on behalf of my wife and my daughter, I want to thank you for what you two do, because even though you don't take a lot of the credit, but you should, but you started this, and I just see it growing more and growing more. And if you can, the last real quick, how, if somebody wants to start one in their community or county, how do they go about doing that?
Easy enough. Please go to momsforliberty.org, click Start a Chapter. It's not hard. You need 10 like-minded people. You need a treasurer. You need a vice chair, hopefully a secretary. We interview you. If you are aligned and you're passionate and you're willing to do some work, you'll be approved and we'll get your chapter launched. And so we also ask that you follow us on social media. Tiffany manages our Twitter account, Moms4Liberty. I manage our Facebook account, Moms for Liberty. We are on Instagram. You mentioned our YouTube channel, which is starting to populate with all of the stuff from the summit. There's going to be so much good information on there. So come follow us.
Oh, we will definitely. Listen, Tina, Tiffany, thank you so much. This has been an absolute joy for us. Continue, if you will, that respectful ruckus, which I learned this past weekend. I love that term. So you guys are amazing. From everybody that supports you, we thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you.
We thank you for coming on the show, and please stay in touch. We'd love to hear any new developments, anything new that's going on. And if we could be the first ones you tell what's going to happen at the next summit, we'd appreciate that as well. We'll be waiting anxiously for that. Thank you both again. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, folks, you just heard Tina Descovich and Tiffany Justice, Moms for Liberty. I don't know what you're thinking after hearing that interview. Jim and I have some absolute thoughts on it. These people are not what they're being portrayed out there. If you're hearing it from the other side, if you are, they've had fair interviews before. They've been on Glenn Beck. They've been on Fox News. They've been on fair shows before, but there's a lot that isn't. And especially if you go online and look them up, it's insane how the negative attention they're getting. But you just heard, I think, two of maybe some of the smartest women in the world, and every one of them are in that group. They really are. They know what they're doing. They're on point. Their message is crystal clear and perfect. You know what their stance is. You heard everything from what they want taught in schools to what is going on as far as school safety goes, to what they truly believe is going on with indoctrinating the children as far as the whole gender thing is. Jim, we've talked, but what did you think of that and that interview and hearing them again?
As we stated, if you are a teacher that believes the media and not listening to them on who they are, get out of the profession.
Correct.
Because they care about the kids' safety in school, just like you said. They want our children educated, okay? Not on sex.
Not indoctrinated.
Educated. Okay?
Correct.
And that's all. That's all they're doing. Yep. Why are these books coming into the school? Why are teachers who aren't qualified to do it teaching them about this stuff?
Correct.
Because I know about it because of the research that we did, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I can talk to a kid about it.
No.
Can't, my own child, I can tell them here's what it is, but I'm not talking to somebody else's child about it. Because I don't know how that family's going to. Yeah,
it's creepy. It's creepy too.
Thank you. It is creepy, but so that's, you and I have said that. We've always, if you were against them, and even after listening to what they had to say and how they said it, and you still are hearing only what you want to hear, and you're in the education field, get out. And I know we can't really afford it, but because teachers are leaving out.
They are.
But interesting thing on that, but we'll talk about it later show. But yeah, they're just wonderful people, and the group themselves. I mean, you heard what they said. How you have to become a group. You can't just become a group.
Nope.
You have to be vetted. You have to go. You have to have a board already established.
Correct.
You got to have at least 10 people starting, and it's not simple to start it. You have to meet their criteria. So
you do, as you should, and that's a good safe way to make sure that they're all on the same point. They're all portraying the same message. And Jim, you and I have talked to many. I'm not talking just interviews and future interviews coming up, but on top of that, just many people in that group throughout that whole weekend, they all had the same message. And the parental right, from parental rights to, indoctrinating the kids to it all makes common sense, just common sense. But there are evil people out there that want the opposite, and that's what they are fighting for, and they're getting hammered every day for it. But I'll tell you what, a group of them show up to a school board meeting, and those school board members, boy, I'm telling you, they're running scared. They don't like it.
Yeah, and
they don't like it at all.
Stories.
Yeah,
we'll
we
have
will.
Some stories where mics get turned off. So for all you people out there that are thinking this isn't happening,
it's happening. Happening every day.
We've got one that's gonna talk about a book.
Yep, that's and, right. That's right.
I'm telling you guys, they're not who they're being portrayed to be.
Nope.
And they're just a bunch of strong women, and there's men in it.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you,
and
I wouldn't want to mess with them.
I would
not want to mess with them. So.
And growing and growing and growing and growing. It's going to be. The future for this group is absolutely bright, especially with that leadership of Tina and Tiffany, and then all the chapter chairs and all the members behind the scenes, the people that are involved that can't get involved because they're afraid of losing their jobs or they're afraid of the community, coming up against them. There's a lot of them out there, not just the ones that are public. I mean, a lot of them out there. And like I mentioned, Thursday, you're going to hear from another one, Paula Davis, chapter chair of Howard County, Indiana branch. She's great as well. You're going to hear, additional things that you didn't hear with Tiffany or Tina. Yeah. And then coming up next week, we'll advertise who's going to be on, at that time. But we're going to have more people on, including, and I'm going to say it now, our good friend Paige Miller, Hamilton County chapter chair, Indiana, who has been on before, and really the reason we're into this. So, but Jim, I know go on. I'm sorry.
We're going to talk about scores.
Yep.
We're going to talk about scores. So that's very important to listen to, and because these are the important numbers to hear.
Yep,
they really are.
They are. And Jim, you have something you want to add here at the end. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Just. For those of you who are friends on Facebook, you already know it, but I want to give a shout out to my wonderful wife, Mrs. Jim. 30 years today. A lot of people think she made a mistake when saying I do, but I'm sorry, her loss, my gain, I guess.
That's right.
It's she has been very supportive all the way through our marriage, but especially now with what we're doing. And it's been a great 30 years and 2 wonderful kids from it. And
great.
Let's hope we have another great 30. So
yeah,
happy anniversary, honey.
And happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Jim. Great couple, like you said, great family, great people in general. So it's good to see. A lot of people don't hang around for 30 years. You know what I mean? So it's hard to do. And it was hard. It's hard, it's hard for me and Mrs. Dale. It's hard for you and Mrs. Jim because, it's work. It's progress and it's ever changing. But that is good for you. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
That's very good to hear, folks. Thank you again for tuning in. We do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying all of these interviews. Again, I'm going to say it. Please share. Please share it to everybody and anybody you know because it's important. Things may not apply to you, but they certainly apply to somebody down the line. That's for sure every day. So share it, comment. Mark's going to tell you how to follow us, but really, our Facebook page has a lot of it. It's 2 Guys 1 Coup Facebook page. That's the number 2 guys, the number 1 coup, COUP. Find us on Facebook and then email us 2guys1coup @gmail. And other Moms for Liberty, I'm telling you, if you're listening to this and you've got something that is really pertinent to your area or something that's happening and you want to talk about it, you want to get it out there, you want people to know, reach out to us. Be more than happy to have you on and talk to you. Whether it's 5 minutes or 30 or 40 or an hour, doesn't matter. If it's important and it involves the school system or parental rights, let us know. We'll be happy to have you on. But go on, Jim.
If you want to come on and it's going to take an hour and a half, we give you the hour and a half.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We absolutely give it to you. And like Dale said earlier, we have Washington, we have stories in Florida, we have stories in Pennsylvania, we have stories in Michigan, in Indiana, and they just keep coming.
Coming.
We support Moms for Liberty. We're in a lot of the groups, and what's great about it is most of the time you have to be a person who lives in that county, which makes sense, right?
Totally.
But
totally,
because we are who we are, and they met us, and they know who we are. We've been allowed in these
in the Facebook groups.
And it's just great because we do get to see a lot of things. We really do. And this is real, folks. This is not made up. This is real. This is stuff that should not be in the schools. We don't understand why it is. But keep the fight. We'll fight with you. And God bless. And we will just. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yep, it will. And and we thank them for allowing us in those groups because they don't have to.
Yep.
And so we do thank each and every one of them for doing that because it keeps us informed. It allows us to report on it. It allows us to talk to all these members that are living this every day. And they're the ones that are taking the shots, from the media and from other parents and from school boards and all that. So, keep that fight up. Jim, great show. Thank you again to Tina and Tiffany for coming on. It was an honor and a pleasure.
Awesome.
To meet him. I all of a sudden got dark. You see that on the video? Like I got super dark. I don't know what's going on. I didn't turn off anything. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, probably better for the viewer that I'm not seeing. So anyways, guys, thank you very much. Please share, like, follow. Mark's going to tell you at the end. Again, thank him. Listen to his podcast, The Conservitude. Folks, we'll see you on Thursday. We have another interview. Jim, anything else to add?
Nope, that's it.
Folks, thank you again. Talk to you on Thursday. Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for Two Guys, One Coup. That's the number 2, guys, and the number 1, coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.